Hey guys, Rich here with a video about subwoofers and amplifiers. So you're looking at putting a subwoofer and amplifier in your car. A couple things that you need to look for when you go amplifier shopping and subwoofer shopping. First thing is, if you're going to spend $500 on a subwoofer, be prepared to spend $500 on an amp. Don't pay $100 for an amp and spend like $1,000 on a subwoofer. You're either going to cook the sub because it's not going to put out enough power, or you're going to cook the amp because the amplifier is going to overheat. So, first thing you need to go over with yourself is what kind of wattage are you actually looking for in your car, the space you have to work with. That's going to determine the size of your box and the size of your sub. Each sub needs a different size of airspace. Now, going into this, if you are looking at putting a nice subwoofer system in your car, unless you know what you're doing, don't attempt to make your own box. You need to calculate airspace. Now, if you're willing to do all this and calculate the right amount of airspace for your subwoofer and put the time in, then I would say have fun, make your own box. I'm never against creativity, but if you're just a guy who wants to throw this in and be done with it, don't attempt to make your own box. Don't just grab plywood and put something together. It won't sound nice and it won't complement the sub at all. So, some quick things for you also about amplifiers. With amplifiers, a couple things you need to consider is ohms and of course wattage. Now make sure you never go by peak wattage. Peak wattage is just, I actually think it's kind of foolish to post or put on an amplifier. What you should be doing is you should be putting RMS. The reason why is RMS is what you can continuously run your subwoofer at and your amp without overheating and what it likes to run at. The problem is companies don't like that because it doesn't show how much wattage you can totally max these things out at. It's a competitive thing. So definitely find out the RMS. Thing is, you also need to consider is ohms do nothing. Ohms are just a little kind of gimmick thing that sales guys will say, oh, if you have 4 ohm subwoofer, it'll sound better than a 2 ohm. No, it won't. It's just basically like a water tap, how much power it's going to send it at the same time. What I would do is I'd mainly pay attention to your wattage, but in the same aspect, make sure you match your ohms with the subwoofer you're buying. If you buy a 2 ohm subwoofer and a 2 ohm amp, they'll go nice together. Make sure the RMSs match and you'll have a really nice system. Now if you're running 2 speakers, 2 things you need to look at is if you're going to be running them in series or parallel. Because if you run the if you run the subwoofers in parallel, then if you do a 4 ohm sub and a 4 ohm sub, you're going to have 2 ohms. So you need a 2 ohm amplifier. But if you start running 2 subwoofers in series, you're going to have 4 ohms and 4 ohms, which is going to make 8 ohms, meaning you need an 8 ohm amplifier. So, once again, if you can, whenever you can, make sure you're wiring in parallel, because I find that the lower the ohms, the easier it is to find an amp, and usually the cheaper it is to find the amp. So, once again, if I were you, I try and stick around to 2 ohm or 4 ohm. That's what these are. I have some Alpines up, as you can see, up top. So, once again, match the wattage and match the ohms. You don't want to play around too much with that. If you start doing that, then you lose control of the speaker, and of course, it can result in damage to the speaker. So those are 2 things to consider. Now another thing is if you have like a company car, or I wouldn't say a company car, but a car where you know that you're not going to want bass all the time, it's something to quick disconnect. They sell things called bazookas. Now the bazooka is a big long black speaker. If you actually type it in on Google, you'll probably find it. And it has a clip-on in the back, so it clips in the power wire and everything, and you can pull it out and take the subwoofer with you right out of the car, so that way, if you got to run products around, or hell, if you're moving stuff around, you can at least remove the subwoofer. Because a lot of people, it's having like a big 12 boxer in here. Make sure you also check out stuff like MTX, because they sell like thunder forms which will fit in your car like this. It'll make it, all stealthy. JL makes stealth boxes. I do find they are quite expensive, and this one is actually Audio Integrations, who is the ones who made me this box, and I love it so far. So there's some options for you and things to consider when you go subwoofer shopping. I hope you guys have a great day.